Welcome to Walking with Chris and Vanessa.
All right, topic two. So, Chris, as you know, I'm reading the book Let Them by Mel Robbins. And what I want to talk about is something that I learned for the three pillars of friendship that I also think apply to marriage. So, the three pillars of friendship are proximity, timing, and energy. So, I'm taking it back to when we met. Proximity. Both were at New Salem Missionary Baptist Church. Pastor Troy preaching, but we just wasn't attending on Sunday. We was going to Bible study on Wednesday.
Father Gideon's army.
So even though I saw you at church on Sunday, you caught my eye with your testimony on Wednesday, giving your chicken nuggets to the homeless.
I was supposed to be fasting anyway.
So once you caught my eye, we got the proximity, which is church, and then you got the timing. One of the things that the book said is in school, we've always been in a group. We've always been doing the same thing, the same time, birthdays, graduation parties. You know, you're all invited to the same thing. One of the things that I realized for myself, side note, is because I was sheltered, I wasn't invited to any of those things. So I was actually learning how to be an adult friend as a child because you shift from group friends to single friends and you have to be intentional about it. But going back to the timing of it, we were in the same timing because we both graduated from college. So even though we're in different ages, we're in the same timing. So I'm like, oh, you graduated from college and working a job? I graduated from college and working a job. Versus, you know, if we met years ago, I would have been in college, you've been in high school. Or because you went to a 3-year college, you graduate. What took me 6 years, it took you 3. So we ended up being in the same timing. So you got proximity, you got timing, and you got energy. So I had that. I don't know nothing energy. And you said, that's cute energy. I want to help her. She ain't got all that negativity. She got hope in her life. She ain't got no baby mom or no babies or no negativity happening in her life. She got that good energy. Let me see what's going on here. So, and your energy was, that brother about business. He about walking in the Lord. That's what I want to do. I want to walk in the Lord in faith. I like that energy. Yeah, it's different up close. That faith energy is different up close. So anyway, so those are the three pillars: proximity, timing, and energy. So now I'm going to fast forward and say, what leads to separation and divorce? Proximity, timing, and energy. So one of the reasons that you like to tell, I was ready to leave you in 2007 is because your proximity to me changed. You went to being up under me to being part of prepaid legal or running after these different jobs. And so now all our time together wasn't together. We weren't in the same proximity and timing. We went in different directions. You were pursuing God's purpose for you, and I'm trying to work a job. So now we're on different timings. You're looking at things differently. And then the energy, because of the proximity and timing, my energy starts going down, down, down into negative energy. And you trying to remain positive as you trying to figure out what the heck you're doing.
I'm changing the purpose. I ain't figuring it out. I'm out there doing what God called me to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I just didn't know about the balance part or the prioritization part with us because that's where I was missing it at.
So I just use that as an example because it was just a revelation that I had when I was looking at it this morning. And I was just like, So every time that I got the divorce itch is proximity, timing, and chance. Even with the dream center.
All right.
So same thing with the dream center, proximity. We were working on marriage diamonds together. We was gonna build stay married movement together. We were in the same proximity. Timing. I was ready to quit my job then. You got it. You getting a job that's gonna take you away for 12 hours. Energy. Your energy shifted to the kids instead of marriage. And I was just like, I'm not here alone. I'm not married to be alone. I have a companion. What the heck happened here? So these are my perspectives. What do you think?
I think that it's very important to be in one another's worlds, because just because I was at the job that I was at and was passionate about it, if you were lonely, you could have found a way to be a part of what I was doing in a way that worked for you. And that would allow for you to have that proximity. And then if I was more intentional, I would have helped you to find a way without, putting you in, I guess, positions where it was not really you. It wasn't really your passion and your purpose. So that's what I would think about, making sure that you had some sort of connection to the call and the purpose that's on my life. Because honestly, the gifts and the skills and the talents that we both have are to be used, within the vision that God has for us. Not just my job, but within the vision. Because a lot of times I found a way to self-actualize, and God blessed me with positions that were connected to my purpose. And I was actually getting paid to do what it is that he called me to do. So in those areas, in terms of proximity and timing, and I think the third one was energy. If we focus our energies on one another and what God has given us, the gifts he's given us, and serve those gifts in proximity to one another's vision, especially to the vision that God had given me for us to be able to pursue, I think we would have been able to navigate the marriage diamonds and a lot of the other pieces that were going. We'd have been able to keep that going if we would have been in a better proximity. But I take responsibility because I didn't really understand how to prioritize and kind of lead through that season. I just left, and I was, about rocking out what God had put in my hands to do. I was ready to put my full effort forth. So I think those three are very important and key. Looking back, as a husband, it's really important to lead and communicate in a way to where it's, like you understand your wife. So if I would have understood you better, I would have had you working more alongside me more, but behind the scenes or doing some other things that didn't put you out of your gifting and your element and your comfortability. You know what I'm saying? But I definitely would have had you to had a plan and sat down and really talked with you and came up with some agreements on how we could have stayed in better proximity so you didn't feel lonely and stuff like that.
Well, that's what the covenant is for grace and mercy, because we did do those things before you went to that job. We had a vision retreat because I was seeing this ahead of time. Like, okay, what does this shift look like? But there was something I wanted to say, and I'm forgetting it now. Timing, proximity, energy. And yet I forgot. Oh, you couldn't get me to be in that space because that was the realization that I didn't want to do anything with kids. Like there was nothing. Like I feel like we had these conversations, but I just came to myself and was like, I don't have any desire to do anything with kids, period. Like that ain't my wheelhouse whatsoever. And oh, that's what it was. That's the real trigger. the Facebook that you sent me for the guy who said, I guess he's giving advice, talking about to the graduate class or something like that. Make sure you marry somebody that's for you or with you, and make sure you're doing something your wife likes, and or something like that. And that made me
Sure that your wife likes or wants to be able to be a part of helping you build what God put in your heart to do.
right. And I didn't have that in my heart to do. I wasn't trying to do nothing with kids. So there was nothing that you could have done because that's not in my heart. I came to that realization myself because I was like, why do I not want to do this? I could help. I could help because I didn't have the heart to do it. And then, taking it back to our parents or your parents at first is mom didn't want nothing to do with them trucks. So she would have probably not helped dad as much as she could because she didn't want to. So that proximity took the trucks away from her for a long time. Timing, he's trying to build a business. She's raising kids alone. And energy. Now it's creating this negative energy for them not even to want to work together. But the real test is, for me, is what you're doing what your spouse wants to participate in? Because if not, then it's going to come out sooner or later that they don't like it. And those are the things that I keep saying, like, oh, I wasn't loving myself. I was choosing you over myself. And it ended up making me hate myself because I keep doing things I don't want to do. And so when I got honest with myself, I was like, I don't want to do anything with kids. I'm not even going to fake the funk with this. I need to find out what I'm supposed to do. That's where I landed.
Yeah.
So now we're on the path of gratitude. But Chris, do you have any final words on this topic?
Yeah, like it was good that you went your path. It wasn't, what you were thinking was, hey, I need to be fully engaged with what Chris is doing, or be doing what God had called him to do. In that season, what ended up happening was the Angry Wives Club was birthed. So that was the path that God had you on. But like, I'm just give wives an encouragement. God called you to things too. So yes, there are seasons where you're gonna be right alongside your husband, and that's cool. But then God is gonna give you some seasons where He needs some time just directly with you, so He can deal with what's going on in your heart. Because honestly, the things that He's given me to do and He's called me to, both of us do need to have a part in that. Because what He called me to, He called a lot of us to. He's leading us to do it. You see what I'm saying? Not just me. And even though you may have said, I don't like, it's more, God, how can I fit? Where's my place? Because if I keep staying on what I like, then I'm on my own understanding. I'm not rocking out with what God has on His mind. Because there may have been something that you could have found in His heart if you would have not been focusing on what was going on in your heart. You see what I'm saying? Just being 1,000. And then lastly, the energy, if there is a season where there's something that God says, I'm calling the husband to something to do, right? He called me to do something specific. And if that's not in your wheelhouse, it's not to try to keep in the last season of companionship and all the things that we were doing. It's God, well, what do you want me to do in this season? I think you ended up finding that because you wrote the book and you ended up really developing the journal, the Red Flag Journal. So that is where you landed. But I think it caused a lot of strife because of heart positioning. I guess where energy was focused.
Everything you're saying is true, and we did those things because I came up to the Dream Center. I spent the day and worked there. I was part of the art room. leading the kids through an art or partnering with whoever the art teacher was, doing that. I did Adopt a Block. I did different things, and none of those were singing to my heart. That was like, okay, I did them, but they weren't speaking to me. So you're right. Out of that came the Angry Wise Club to begin to dig deeper into what I want, and that's part of the journey. Don't just stay in that emotional space. Find what you really want, and that's where I began. So, like you said, the things were birthed there. So, oh, and then when you were talking too, another thought came to mind. When I went to therapy, this woman had talked about us being a piano, and I'm the white keys and you the black keys, or vice versa. I figured you want to be the black keys. Anyway, every key ain't gonna be in every song. So Dream Center was all black keys. You were playing the song. There were no white keys in there.
Honestly, I'm tapped out on a whole lot of marriage teachings and stuff because it ain't really no power in just the teaching itself. For me, I'm just being honest. The power is in the testimony. So I don't want to. What we need to talk about, just talk about our story.
But we
We just need to talk about our diamonds, talk about our red flag journal entries, like real life, because that's what couples need. Couples is. I think just like me, couples are tapped out of all of this advice. They need to hear some real life, and you hear some real life. I think that's the difference. I think that's even what I did with Chat. He said, "You real." You know, Chat recognized real. So it's like that's what couples need. That's gonna set us apart because it's a kingdom anointing on real. Cause you get to see God's hand on real. Like you needed to find your walking path in that season. I found my walking path. And what I needed to do was help you to find and be praying for you to find your walking path too, because if we find ourselves being, frustrated in a season, check your walking path. Check the heart of God, because if we lean on our own understanding, we're going to just be pissed off. We're going to, not really be bringing a great energy. We don't want to be around our partner, so that hits proximity. So in the timing, it's like, okay, what am I supposed to be doing in this season? So that's why it's so important to be straight up sold out to prayer and stand in your word, because what that does is it keeps you grounded, but it also keeps you surrounded with the heart of God. And so he can lead and guide you, and wisdom will be your lot. That's what you will actually be walking in instead of feelings and emotions and stuff like that, because those are designed to take us out. Feelings and emotions, I mean, even me, it's designed to take me out. So if I'm coming home and I've been going to battle for the souls of these young people all day, I've been getting hit, from all different areas. But I come home and I'm getting the wrong proximity. I'm getting the wrong timing. So because you're in the wrong season, and I'm getting the wrong energy. Now I'm in a battle at home now, because now you feel alone, or you feel lonely, or you feel, you know what I'm saying? So I'm glad that what was birthed in that season was birthed. And I'm glad now we got the story, because we ain't do it right. I know I ain't do my part right in that season, no, completely. Now looking back, I'm glad I'm able to tell other people now, make sure you help your wife to find her path. Don't be on your path and be pissed off that she ain't on your path. Because in this season, God may have a different path for her. And that's kind of what I as I'm looking back now, that's what I'm learning. Because your path was to write that book. And that book is fire too. Angry Wise Club. Go angrywiseclub.com. Let's get it. If you ain't living the platinum life, you probably got an Angry Wise. So you need to get you the Angry Wise Club book. Read it and understand what was going on in my wife's life in that season, so that you can be able to understand this why your wife angry, bro.
Yeah, I think this is a good example for the speaker listener as we go back and forth holding this, because we're not cutting each other off. And I have several thoughts that now I need to get out. So one, my funny thing is your chat is positive. It will positively lead you to destruction if you ain't paying attention. And this is the example of something I saw on TikTok. This guy said, "Hey, chat, should I quit my job?" And chat was like, you know, "Man, you're awesome. This is a good place that you realize you're in. Would you like for me to help you create an exit strategy?" So the dude quits his job. And so then he's like, "Chat, I can't pay my rent." He's like, chat still encouraging. "That's okay, man. You're doing great. You did an amazing decision to do this. You know your worth or whatever. Like, chat, I'm homeless. You know, you're still got what it takes. Da, 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 da." So the message was chat can be positively toxic. You need a plan to do the things that you do. You need to be making sure that you're aligned with God, not just listening to the advice of chat, because then it just becomes a chat box. And thank you for the shout out for the Angry Wives Club. It also made me think of the picture, the visual picture that was drawn of our two trains, that they didn't start off together, but they ended together. And so we got to go through our own cities. Each one of them went through their own cities. You went through Nag City, Sin City, Passion City, and Wind City at the Dream Center. And I did it while writing the books. But now here we are back together. Yay, Wind City. So I think that's a good visual of saying, hey, you are going to go different paths, but come back together. So
Yeah, I love that. I love that because
I love the fact that we came back together, and I also am thanking God that we made it through a season of individual purpose, even while we were married. Because there were things that God wanted to get out of you, and things He had called me to at the same time. So I'm glad that that we found our path and finally learn how to walk together, even though we weren't doing the same thing in that season. So now, this is just revelation for me even now. And I'm grateful for this conversation and this revelation, because the Holy Spirit is revealing to me how I could have led better and loved better in that season. And it's also revealing to me how I can view that. So I'm being rewired in my mind of how I should view that season and how I should view seasons like that moving forward. Because in my mind, I was like that monolithic. Everything I do, you need to be right beside me and rocking with me. And that's not the case. You know what I'm saying? There's some things that God has called me to. And there is a level of, okay, God, what's my role in this season? If your role is directly with me, let's go. If your role is in that season, God just needs you to Himself so that He can lead you on that path. It needs to be something where we agree to, though. Got to agree to that. Because if we don't, then it's gonna be horrible. Real talk.
all right.
how I know.
He know, because he got some lumps. Anyway, this is episode 2 of Walking with Chris and Vanessa, the real testimony